Okay, here we go. Part 3. So, one of the things that people don't tell you about adrenal fatigue is how much anxiety you're going to experience. And I mean, there were points in time where I just kind of like, I didn't even let the anxiety affect me, where I just kind of stood back and I was like, what the heck am I experiencing right now? Because I really have not experienced that much anxiety in my life per se. And that's the only thing that I could come to grips with was that this is anxiety and why is it happening to me? So I would go in waves of being extremely tired to all of a sudden I would kind of get like this rush of anxiety. And I'm not going to say that it was super welcomed, but the rush of anxiety would actually give me a little bit of energy. And I really did not like it at all, but just the fact that I knew that energy was coming from somewhere, I was kind of like, was a little delighted. Okay. But for people who aren't used to anxiety, that have never experienced it before, I could imagine it's quite scary. I mean, it feels like something inside of you is dying, or it could even feel like you're dying as well if you're not really privy to it. And once again, I'm going to do just a little bit of a recap from the last two videos. All of this came about because for 6 years, I was doing 40 to 44, 45 hours of soft tissue work a week, pressing on bodies. And when you are pressing on another person, whether you believe it or not, you are absorbing energy. It's an exchange of energy. That's all it is. Okay. And the only way that I'm able to quote unquote fix or heal so many people is because I'm able to maintain that balance myself. Okay. When I am balanced, you can ask my wife. I mean, there's nothing in the world that can bother me. You kind of become unfuckwithable. Okay. All four walls could be burning down or things could be melting down right in front of you. And you're just kind of, that, like they say in Fight Club, that warm little center of the world. And you're just like, huh, you're the observer. You're just like, wow. So for most of my life, I've never really bought into fear. I've never really bought into anxiety. If something happened, whether it was bad, whether it was good, you just keep that centrist focal point of view. And it's just like, I'm going to find out later if this is bad or good. I'm going to reserve judgment, I guess you could say. I'm not going to judge this moment right now. It is what it is, right? A lot of people you see during COVID, they went into the fear mode. They went into the um, just, I don't know what this is. Let me panic, right? Even some very, very smart people that I know, they went into the panic mode. And I get that. It's kind of like, the best day to plant a tree was today. The second best was yesterday. And if you're not taking care of your health every single day, and then all of a sudden we have a pandemic or a health scare on the horizon, yeah, sure, I get it. You go into your panic mode. For me, I've been studying health for the last 26, 27 years. And when the pandemic came, I was kind of like, okay, this is a little bit odd, but it put my knowledge to the test. And I want to say maybe for the first week or two, I slightly bought into the fear, maybe 5 to 10%. And it was like, okay, what if this is as scary or as bad as the news channels are saying? And then as I started to study it more and the newsletters of the people that I listened to or that I learned from, they kind of confirmed what I already knew, is that, this is something that's going to be perpetuated and felt mostly by the people that are sick or old. Okay. And what did they show? The biggest problems that people had with COVID was going to be diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure, etc. or if you're kind of old and decrepit and you're not very healthy, right? And then everybody wants to say, oh, I knew somebody who was totally healthy, went to the gym all the time, they were 3% body fat, and they died from COVID. Don't buy it, man. You There's a huge difference between the perception of somebody looking healthy on the outside and somebody being healthy on the inside. Huge, huge difference. I'm by no means 3% body fat, but I've survived a lot of things and a lot of problems just because I know that I was healthy on the inside, and I'm not that super jacked, ripped, shredded, trenboloned out dude on the outside, right? I love the way my body functions. I love the way my body feels. I love my athleticism that I have, and my complete and utter lack of pain on almost every single day of my life. Okay. So to look at me in a swimsuit and be like, oh my God, he's got to be 10% body fat. How can you be healthy? What we see on the outside isn't necessarily what's going on the inside. Trust me on that one. So all of this, the adrenal fatigue, and which I'm going to go into right now, the insulin resistance that I had, was due to absorbing everybody else's energy and emotions. So I come in balanced, and whatever's imbalanced in the person that I'm working with, I balance with my energy. Okay. And as a result, I was absorbing a lot of negative feelings and negative energy and negative emotions. And I had no idea that that was happening. And I had no outlet for it. I didn't know how to get it out. And there were people that came in, they were very angry. And when they left, it's like, man, why I'm so relaxed, I'm so tired. And what would happen later on that night is I would start to feel all of this anger. I'm like, man, why am I so angry? No idea what's going on. This is weird. I have nothing to be angry about, but I'm angry, and what would I do? I'd go and have a beer or a glass of wine or a small sniffer of scotch and relax. Oh, there goes the anger. Okay. And what I essentially ended up doing through the work on people and then trying to mitigate that, okay, with alcohol, was I created a pretty hefty fatty liver for myself. And a lot of my sleeping problems was due to this fatty liver. And it wasn't until my wife got pregnant with our second child, where we don't do that whole glucose solution test. I mean, it's just nasty. Drinking 75 grams of pure sugar, and then you got to sit there for 2 hours and then measure your blood glucose to see if you have gestational diabetes. It's the dumbest test I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, absolutely no, we're not doing that. And I think they even banned the test now. They completely got rid of it. It's how stupid it is. So we ended up monitoring her blood sugar, and I was like, oh, I'm going to monitor mine too. And I remember waking up one day at the beginning and the day that she started, and I was like, okay, I'll test mine too. Hers was like 91. Mine was 127. And that's like pre-diabetes. I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? And, I did a little bit of research, and I started to find out all the blood sugar problems you have when you have adrenal fatigue. So one of the first things that I got myself on to lower my blood sugar was metformin. And I bought it from inhousepharmacy.va or VU. It's a website over in India. You don't need a prescription for any of these medications. You can just buy it and they ship it to you. So I started using it, and it was helping tremendously. But the fact that your body can't regulate your blood sugar very well, I ended up pushing my blood sugar too low. So I was only taking 250 milligrams of metformin a night, and it started to help my sleep along with the other things that I was doing. I woke up on a specific day. I can't remember what day it was, but all of a sudden I'm like, man, after breakfast, I was like, I'm still hungry. So I go and I have something else. And then I'm like, man, I'm still hungry. I go and I have something else. Now I start like getting lightheaded and I'm dizzy and I'm a little bit shaky. I'm like, what's going on? I go and I test my blood sugar and it was like 52. It's way too low. I pushed myself with the metformin into hypoglycemia. So I started to have to introduce some carbohydrates, still wasn't going away. Every time I stood up, my heart rate would go up to probably like 140, 150. I was like, man, this isn't good. So I actually ended up calling the paramedics. They came in. I'm laying down in bed, trying to remain calm. And, my wife was very calm, but I can tell inside, she's panicking, wondering what's going on with me. My daughter's coming around. She's only, 2.5, 3 at the time. And she's like, Dada, okay, okay. And you just realize that, what your decisions end up creating for the people around you. Okay. And what I was doing was I was putting everybody's needs ahead of my own. Somebody needed help, somebody was in pain. I knew what it felt like to be that person in pain that nobody was helping. So it didn't matter what was going on. If somebody called me and they needed an appointment, even if it was 7, 8 o'clock at night, yeah, sure, come by. I'll work on you. And that was just a recipe for disaster. And it was all coming to fruition at this point. And it all started coming to the forefront. And I was just like, gosh, man, what did I do? Like, just this isn't cool. So all of that is the preface to what I'm going to talk about right now. I had to ditch the metformin. It was simply too strong. And what I ended up doing was I started to use berberine, 1 gram in the morning for the most part, okay? And I ended up going on a little bit more of a ketogenic-ish diet. Now, this is another thing that nobody's going to tell you, is that insulin resistance goes both ways, okay? I'm sorry, insulin resistance can be created by a fatty liver, and the fatty liver is created in 2 ways. That's what I should have said, okay? A lot of people think that a fatty liver, a non-alcoholic fatty liver, is created by excess sugar, and they're correct. But it can also be created by too much of a ketogenic lifestyle, and that's what I was on for a fairly good amount of 14 years, okay? So my non-alcoholic fatty liver disease was created by too much fat in the diet, which the research points to, but nobody believes, okay? And it was smacking me right in the face. So what I actually had to do was eat a lot of protein, very little carbohydrates, and very little fat, okay? That is a diet that nobody has figured out yet, all right? And when I decreased my fat and decreased my carbohydrates and I went on the berberine would uptick cyclic AMPK, cyclic AMP-K. And what that started to do was burn off all the fat off of my liver. And my blood sugar would be much more favorable. And then so would my energy as well, okay? The problem was that when I got to a specific point, the berberine actually was pushing my my blood sugar too low once again. So then I had to go off of the berberine, and what was then being caused by that, I started to realize that all my biliary ducts and my gallbladder were backed up. Okay, I had a sludge in my gallbladder, and this was indicative to a tingling feeling, a tight right side neck, and then I constantly was getting pain underneath my right side rib cage. Okay, and it's like, good luck with that. Western medicine, their choice is to just rip that gallbladder out of you, but the gallbladder is very beneficial to digesting fats, right? So most people are going to use TUDCA or what's the other one? Bile salts. Okay, most people which I think TUDCA is a bile salt, but people are going to use TUDCA or they're going to use bile salts in a very slow, it's a very, very slow progression, okay, with that. And since they only act on the gallbladder and they don't act on the cells, more specifically the sugar receptor inside of the cell, okay, it's not going to be super beneficial. So what I ended up finding later on was that DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, was the cure-all for everything that I was experiencing, okay? In related to my organs, my cells, my blood vessels, and DMSO will also cross the blood-brain barrier, so it will help with glymph, and I believe it helps with BDNF production, brain-derived neurotropic factor, which is super huge, okay? So those were two things that I ended up running into, all right, and in order to help fix myself and fix this problem that I caused. It was bad. You know, I was pooping gray for a little bit, which shows that I had a little bit of pancreatitis going on as well because of how much insulin it was pumping out and the problems that I was experiencing. And all of that, like I said, was leading to the anxiety also that I was feeling. You can get problems with anxiety and then also insomnia if your blood sugar is not regulated in the manner that it should be, okay? At this point, when I was doing these things, I was also able to exercise, but one of the problems was that if I would exercise too hard, I would wake up the next day and I would be really fatigued, okay? And that wasn't cool. It's like, man, okay, I'm not fatigued the same day. I feel amazing the rest of the day, but then I wake up the next day and I'm like, I'm tired from training. And that part was still, you know, I wasn't recovered from my adrenal fatigue. So while exercise is great, you want to make sure that you're doing something more along the lines of maybe like 15 to 20 minutes of slow, steady state cardio. You're not pushing yourself too hard. And then a lot of strength training. Strength training was really my save all, my cure all. You know, I started to do a lot more strength training and a lot less cardiovascular work. And that was much more productive to my healing. Okay, so let's do a recap real quick. You can try little bits of metformin. I would only recommend maybe even 125 to 200 milligrams at the start, okay? And then I moved to berberine, and then I moved to TUDCA and bile salts, okay? And what I didn't like about the TUDCA and the bile salts was that it actually started to cause a little bit of diarrhea. I didn't have that much of a problem, so I was taking too much TUDCA and too many bile salts, too many milligrams of bile salts. So when I moved to the DMSO, I mean, it was incredibly profound. DMSO works with your body. So even if you take a little bit too much, you're going to know, and when you scale back, um, it's much more beneficial to you. And it does so many other things in the body too. I really encourage you to research DMSO. I started off with a teaspoon with 3 ounces of water and 2 ounces of aloe vera juice. So that was absolutely incredible for me. Really, you can feel it. It does a lot for the central nervous system as well, balancing out both aspects of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, okay? Which I had highly imbalanced due to all the soft tissue work. All right. So yep, and then that's with the DMSO, and that was pretty much it. I was well on my way to healing. We're gonna do one more video after this. I'm gonna talk about frequency machines, okay, and frequency healing. If you have done steps 1, 2, 3, and you're still not really there yet, the frequency machines are going to bring you back and then some. Okay, they're truly incredible. But once again, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be bringing a lot more content, things that I live through, things that nobody else knows really how to fix. And it's all coming to you free of charge, all right? And if you need any more help, contact me. either in the comments below or rebuilding you. That's REBUILDING, you, the letter U, at proton.me. I'll put that in the comments below as well, or the description of the video. Hope you enjoyed the view for today. You know, once again, can't get sick of this view, man. Coming from Agropoli, Italy. It's October 22nd. Gosh, it's like 72 degrees to dream right now. Very, very light breeze. Supposed to rain later on today, and I welcome it, man. I love it. I love it. I hope it's beautiful where you are. We got a couple more, 2 more weeks, man, till this election drops. I hope there's no shenanigans. I just want the winner to be a winner, man. And I hope everything is beautiful where you are. Love, light, and aloha. And I'll see you in the next one.